Welcome to this episode of Video Drone by DIY3DTech.com. In this episode I want to talk a little bit about the disassembly of the Hubsan. So this is the X4 Aspire. I think it's the 502E. And so one of the things in a prior flight I noticed the camera having an issue with regards to focus. So anyways, to address it, I need to take it apart. So I figured I'd do a brief video on disassembly of the Hubsan and sort of how to go about it. So I have the unit here. I've already started the disassembly process. So a couple of the tools you're going to need is a very fine Phillips screwdriver. And I also have a very fine matching regular screwdriver. You just kind of see over here I've got a complete set of them. And then I've got sort of a regular magnetized smaller Phillips screwdriver. Now the reason I have the regular screwdriver is some of the heads on the very small screws, because you can see I have two cups here, and I'll talk about that in a minute where I have the screws stored, is these are in here pretty tight. And one of the things I noticed with the Phillips is it slipped a little bit, and in slipping a little bit, what I did is I used the regular screwdriver to get in there, and it got a tighter grip on it where I could break it loose and then remove it with the Phillips. So kind of like a little tip. But now, the other thing I want to talk about is the little cups. I've got these little cocktail cups that I use for storing my screws in and also separating them. So when we take a look at this, we have two real sets of screws here to pull the Hubsan shell apart. So what we have is on each arm we have these two screws which have shoulders on them, and then we have three screws which hold these pads which also connect in, and you have to kind of take apart to remove this. So because actually these two here hold the pad in, but there's one guy hidden right in here where this pin from the foot, make sure I get that in frame, goes into, and this has to be removed. So you have to take these two out by proxy. Now these don't have shoulders on them, whereas the these two, I should explain, do not have shoulders, where these three do have shoulders on the screws. And I don't know, see if you can see maybe I can zoom in on those. So you can see the shoulders, whereas the ones that fit in here don't, so they're a little bit smaller screw. So that's one of the reasons I've separated the two sets of screws. Now the other thing, once you take these screws out, what you'll also need to do is take this regular screwdriver, this regular flat-headed screwdriver again, and kind of run it around the perimeter to sort of pop it apart. Now you're going to want to have removed the props, because the motor assemblies are going to pull through sort of like that, and then this top piece is really going to be the piece, even though the screws are on the bottom, that's going to come off. Now you do have, what I want to show is you do have some clips on here that are connected, I'm assuming, for additional electronics, and the antenna for the GPS, which is mounted in the top. So I'm not sure how well these are. These look like I'm not sure if they're taped or fixed. Nope. So we can just actually easily remove these, and now we've taken the Hubsan apart. And so there we go. So we've got the motor assemblies, and you notice the antenna. Now the one thing is, I don't mean to get into this deeply in this, because I really just wanted to cover out here's how the Hubsan is assembled. But one of the things, you know, for basically $100 or $700 copter, this thing is really well designed. So you know, kudos to the Hubsan design team on this. So anyways, the biggest thing is I wanted to show you guys, how do you disassemble a Hubsan? That's how you disassemble it, and obviously, you know, you just reverse everything to reassemble it. But the biggest thing is make sure you have the right tools. One of the other kind of tips with this set, the tops actually turn, so what I can do is put pressure on here but yet still turn this. And so because these screws were really in here, so you have to be, you know, expect that when you're going in, and having the right tools really do help. And then again, keeping your screws straight, big bonus. And so again, if you've never seen inside a Hubsan, this is what's inside there. Now the one thing I'll notice is just even after a couple flights, a lot of sand, because I flew this on the beach, because this sits on the ground, really got into the unit. So I'm kind of surprised that there was that much sand. I've already had to clean the paper off a couple times. So I am going to probably think about some way to 3D print or build something to kind of give it some feet, and what I may do is actually model it off these somehow or something. So anyways, again, just wanted to share that. So if you found this interesting, hey, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe button coming over there soon. If you're not subscribed, please do. If you have any questions, go ahead, hit me up below, or you have any comments or suggestions about what I should do differently, or if there's a better way to do it, I'm all ears. See you in the next video.